Do you want to know what it is? This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
Welcome to the Recap Vault. Today we're diving into The Matrix 1999, the film that bent reality and redefined action cinema. Released in 1999, The Matrix wasn't just another sci-fi flick. It became a cultural earthquake. Its bullet time effects, cyberpunk aesthetic, and red pill, blue pill metaphor rewired how audiences thought about technology and reality. This was a movie that didn't just entertain, it changed the language of pop culture. Now, let's step into the world of Neo, Morpheus, and the war against the machines. Our story begins with Thomas Anderson, a computer programmer by day and hacker by night under the alias Neo. Haunted by strange visions tied to something called the Matrix, Neo's life feels incomplete, like there's something wrong with the world he can't name. One night, a cryptic message flashes on his computer: "Follow the white rabbit." Moments later, a group of clubgoers shows up at his door and one of them has a white rabbit tattoo. Against his better judgment, Neo follows them to a nightclub, where he meets a mysterious woman named Trinity. She warns him that he's in grave danger, but doesn't explain much more. The next day, Neo receives a strange package at work. Inside is a ringing phone. On the line is a man named Morpheus, who warns him that they're coming. Neo looks up to see three suited men, led by Agent Smith. With Morpheus guiding him step by step, Neo tries to escape, but fear overtakes him and he's captured. Interrogated by Smith, Neo learns he's broken countless cyber laws. Smith offers him a deal: help capture Morpheus or face prison. Neo refuses, and suddenly his lips fuse shut, his voice gone. A horrifying insect-like device is forced into his stomach, and Neo blacks out. He wakes up in bed, sweating, unsure if it was a dream, until Morpheus contacts him again, arranging a secret meeting. Picked up by Trinity's crew, Neo watches in shock as they remove the same mechanical bug from his body. It was all real. At last, Neo meets Morpheus in person. Morpheus offers him a choice: take the blue pill and return to his normal life, or the red pill and see the truth. Neo chooses the red pill. Suddenly, reality begins to melt. A broken mirror repairs itself before Neo's eyes, liquid silver crawling up his arm until it engulfs him completely. He blacks out and awakens inside a human battery pod, hairless and naked, tubes plugged into his body. For the first time, Neo sees the terrible truth: countless humans suspended in endless rows, harvested for energy by machines. A sentinel drone spots him and flushes him out. Neo drifts helplessly through a sewage pipe until Morpheus's hovercraft, the Nebuchadnezzar, rescues him. Morpheus leans over Neo and whispers, "Welcome to the real world." After Neo's rescue, his body is in terrible shape. His muscles ache, his eyes sting, he's never actually used them before. Over weeks of recovery, he slowly regains his strength aboard the hovercraft, the Nebuchadnezzar. Morpheus explains the shocking truth: it isn't 1999. It's actually closer to 2199. The world Neo thought he knew is a lie, a vast simulation known as the Matrix. To help Neo understand, Morpheus straps him into a chair and plugs a cable into the port at the back of his skull. Neo suddenly finds himself in an empty, endless white space, the construct. Here they can create anything instantly: clothes, guns, even entire cities. Morpheus shows Neo that what he believed was real life, skyscrapers, streets, people, is actually nothing more than a program. The real world is far darker. Humanity once fought the machines by blocking out the sun, but instead of winning, they lost. Now humans are grown in pods and used as living batteries, their minds trapped in the Matrix, to keep them docile. Neo is horrified. He vomits, overwhelmed by the weight of this new reality. But there's no time to despair. His training begins. Thanks to the ship's systems, combat knowledge can be uploaded straight into his brain. Neo sits back as endless martial arts skills stream into his mind. Hours later, he opens his eyes and blurts out, "I know Kung Fu." This line became one of the most quoted moments of the late 90s. Keanu Reeves delivers it with such perfect deadpan that it instantly became meme material. Even today, you'll see this clip pop up whenever someone suddenly learns a new skill. Back in the construct, Neo spars against Morpheus in a simulated dojo. At first, Morpheus dominates, but Neo quickly adapts, countering his strikes. The crew watches in awe as Neo keeps up with their captain. It's the first glimpse that Neo might really be something special. Next, Morpheus takes Neo to a simulation of a busy city street, teaching him about the dangers of the Matrix. The agents Neo encountered before, they're not men at all, they're programs. They can take over the body of anyone still plugged into the Matrix, making them nearly impossible to avoid. Worst of all, if you die in the Matrix, your real body dies too. Meanwhile, in the real world, danger lurks as well. Machines called Sentinels prowl the ruins of Earth, constantly hunting the resistance. At one point, one of them nearly detects the Nebuchadnezzar, forcing the crew to shut everything down and hide in silence. Despite the dangers, hope remains. Morpheus reveals an ancient prophecy that one day a chosen figure known as the One would appear to break humanity's chains and destroy the Matrix. Morpheus believes Neo could be that savior. To test his potential, they drop Neo into a skyscraper jump program. Standing on the edge of a building, Morpheus tells him he must free his mind and leap to the next rooftop. Neo takes a deep breath, runs, and falls, crashing into the pavement below. Back on the ship, the crew laughs, but Morpheus reassures Neo. Failure is part of learning. The Oracle and betrayal after weeks aboard the Nebuchadnezzar, Neo is finally ready for the next step. Morpheus takes him and part of the crew back into the Matrix for a meeting with the mysterious Oracle, the prophet who once predicted the coming of the One. The group makes their way through the city, unaware that betrayal is already in motion. Cypher, one of the crew, has secretly struck a deal with the agents. Tired of the bleak real world, he longs to return to the Matrix, even if it means selling out his friends. Inside a quiet apartment, Neo finally meets the Oracle. She's nothing like he imagined, not a goddess or warrior, but a kind grandmotherly woman who bakes cookies while speaking in riddles. Around her are gifted children she calls potentials, bending spoons and performing feats that defy the rules of the Matrix. When Neo sits with her, the Oracle studies him carefully. Then she delivers a shock. "Sorry, kid, you're not the one." But she adds a cryptic twist. Soon Neo will face a choice. He'll have to decide between saving himself or saving Morpheus. Confused and shaken, Neo leaves, feeling like his destiny has been denied. Cypher's betrayal. On the way back, the group walks straight into an ambush. Agents and police swarm the area, and chaos erupts. In the firefight, the youngest crew member, Mouse, is killed. The betrayal becomes clear. Cypher tipped off the agents. In the real world, he springs his trap. Back on the ship, he kills Dozer and nearly kills Tank, then begins disconnecting his teammates one by one from the Matrix, which kills them in real life. Just as Cypher is about to pull Trinity's plug, Tank, barely alive, manages to grab a weapon and blast Cypher away. The betrayal is over, but the damage is done. Meanwhile, inside the Matrix, Morpheus has been captured. The agents torture him, trying to extract Zion's location, the last human city. Neo's choice: back aboard the ship. Tank suggests the unthinkable: disconnect Morpheus before he breaks, sparing Zion's secrets. But Neo refuses. He remembers the Oracle's words. He wasn't the one, but he'd face a choice. Neo realizes this is it. He chooses to risk his life to save Morpheus. Trinity insists on coming with him, and together they prepare for a rescue mission. This setup leads into one of the most famous action sequences in cinema history, the lobby shootout. At the time, it was groundbreaking, a balletic mix of martial arts, gunplay, and slow motion that every action movie tried to copy for years. You've seen echoes of it everywhere, from Equilibrium to John Wick. Part 4, Rescue Mission, and Neo vs. Agent Smith. Armed to the teeth, Neo and Trinity re-enter the Matrix and storm the skyscraper where Morpheus is being held. What follows is one of the most stylish and iconic action sequences of the 90s, the lobby shootout. In a hail of bullets and slow-motion acrobatics, Neo and Trinity mow down waves of guards. Marble pillars explode, chunks of debris fly everywhere, and the soundtrack pounds as they push forward. It was a sequence so bold it set a new standard for action choreography, copied endlessly in later films. The lobby scene was revolutionary for blending Hong Kong martial arts with Hollywood blockbuster spectacle. For many viewers, it was the first time they'd seen action filmed like this, choreographed like a dance, slowed down to emphasize impossible moves, yet still raw and intense. It permanently changed how action scenes were shot. After blasting through the lobby, the pair fight their way to the rooftop, where they encounter waves of police and agents. Neo dodges bullets in jaw-dropping slow motion, bending backward as projectiles whip past him. The birth of the now legendary bullet time effect. Iconic moment. Bullet time wasn't just a special effect, it became a cultural phenomenon. You saw it spoofed in Scary Movie, parodied in Shrek, and homaged in everything from Max Payne video games to Inception. Even people who've never watched The Matrix know the bullet dodge scene. On the rooftop, Neo and Trinity seize a helicopter piloted by Trinity herself. They swoop toward Morpheus's prison floor, guns blazing, forcing the agents to take cover. Morpheus, chained and beaten, sees his chance. He breaks free and leaps toward the helicopter. At the last moment, Neo ties himself to a rope and dives out, catching Morpheus in midair. The two crash onto a rooftop as the helicopter spirals out of control. Trinity barely escapes, clinging to the rope as the chopper explodes behind her in a fiery blast. For Morpheus, this moment is proof Neo is the one. With Morpheus safe, the team heads for their exit, a ringing phone inside the subway system. Morpheus and Trinity escape first, but before Neo can follow, Agent Smith appears. What follows is a brutal hand-to-hand fight. Smith is faster, stronger, more ruthless. The two clash in a gritty battle of punches, blocks, and near-death blows. At one point, Smith slams Neo against the tracks and holds him as a train barrels toward them. At the last second, Neo flips Smith onto the rails, only for the agent to reappear in another body moments later. Back in the real world, things get worse. The Nebuchadnezzar is discovered and Sentinels begin drilling through the ship's hull. The crew prepares the EMP, their last defense, but they can't use it while Neo is still inside the Matrix. As the Sentinels rip through the hull of the Nebuchadnezzar, Neo races through the Matrix toward his escape point. Tank guides him step by step, but just as he reaches the designated door, Room 303, Agent Smith ambushes him. Smith unloads his gun. Neo staggers back, riddled with bullets, and collapses. His vitals flatline. On the ship, alarms blare as the Sentinels close in. The crew braces for the end. Trinity kneels beside Neo's body, whispering desperately. She confesses that the Oracle once told her she would fall in love with the One, and that man is Neo. As tears fall, she kisses him. Miraculously, Neo's heart begins to beat again. He gasps for air, reborn. Inside the Matrix, the agents immediately open fire, but Neo raises his hand, and the bullets freeze in midair. They clatter to the ground as Neo, now fully awakened, sees the Matrix for what it is, cascading streams of green code. Agent Smith attacks, but this time Neo moves effortlessly. He dodges strikes with casual ease, fighting one-handed, dismantling Smith's every move. Finally, Neo dives into Smith's body, splitting him apart from within until the program explodes in a flash of light. Back in the real world, Morpheus unleashes the EMP, frying the Sentinels just as they break through the ship's hull. The crew survives. The film closes with Neo inside the Matrix, speaking directly to the system. I'm going to show them a world without you. A world without rules and controls, without borders or boundaries. A world where anything is possible. He then takes flight into the sky, no longer just a hacker named Thomas Anderson, but the One. The Matrix was more than a sci-fi blockbuster. It was a cultural turning point. On a $63 million budget, it grossed over $460 million worldwide and won 4 Academy Awards, all in technical categories. Quotes that stuck: red pill or blue pill. There is no spoon. I know kung fu. These lines escaped the movie and became part of everyday language. The film redefined Hollywood action. Bullet time, wire fu martial arts, trench coats, and techno soundtracks dominated early 2000s cinema. Everything from Charlie's Angels to Shrek borrowed from it. Video games like Max Payne were directly inspired by its visual style, and decades later, John Wick reunited Keanu Reeves with choreographers who once worked on The Matrix, proving its influence never faded. Beyond the action, the film tapped into late 90s anxieties about technology, control, and identity. Was life just a simulation? Are we trapped in systems we can't see? These questions made it resonate far beyond popcorn entertainment. That was The Matrix 1999, a film that didn't just entertain but rewrote the rules of cinema and shaped an entire generation's view of reality. If you enjoyed this recap, subscribe to the Recap Vault, your shortcut to the movies that shaped pop culture.